Why I Believe in God. Part 3. L stands for Lives. This is part 3 of a 7-part series. In each part, I explore a key word that starts with the letters from the word B-E-L-I-E-V-E, believe. In part 1, I explore B, which stands for big. I believe in God because God is bigger than me. In part 2, I explore E for empower. I believe in God because God empowers me. In this part, which is part 3, I explore L for lives. I believe in God because God lives. He is alive. So why do I believe that God is alive? What proof do I have about God's existence? Why even bother with whether God is alive or not in this modern world which is so fast-paced and where technology enables me to do so many things so easily? I believe that God is alive because deep within my heart I feel the peace that only God can give. Saint Augustine said, "You have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our heart is restless until it rests in you." So what makes my heart restless? My heart is restless when I am unfulfilled, when I am unsatisfied, when I am searching for something, or when I am longing for someone or for something that will quench the thirst within me. So what must I do to quench this thirst? I can chase after worldly possessions and pleasures at various levels of intensity. At the basic level of 1, I can choose to be distracted all the time with the gadgets and technology around me. I know of a lady who cannot bear silence and has to leave the radio on all the time. At level 2, I can choose to get pleasure from worldly possessions. I know of a lady who, when she is depressed and down, she has to go out and buy something that will bring her happiness. At level 3, I can choose to stimulate my senses. I know of a man who regularly will party till late and get very little sleep before coming into work the next day, and he told me that he will have plenty of time to rest when he is in the grave. At level 4, I can choose to cross the moral boundary. I know of a man who told me that his warm, homely wife was just too boring for him. He wanted excitement in his life, so he separated from her and from his one and only daughter, and he chased after a tall blonde, only to find that after a year of living with this tall blonde, she left him for another man. At level 5, I can choose to not only cross the moral boundary, but to assert that what is wrong is now right. I know of a colleague at work who is very liberal in her thinking and will lend her support and credibility to a number of causes on the grounds that what does not hurt anyone cannot be wrong, and that in this modern world we need to be open, liberal in our thinking and be supportive about other people's rights to express themselves freely and be who and what they want to be and to do whatever pleases them as long as the thing that they are doing does not hurt another person. At level 6, I will have to increase the intensity of the pleasure, and after that pleasure has passed, I will find myself having sunk even deeper than before into restlessness. At level 7, I will have to seek even greater pleasure than before and take even greater risks, and this can continue and spiral out of control. Have I not heard of presidents, politicians, or sports personalities who, even at the height of their fame and career, still took great risks in seeking the pleasure of the heart and thus put their own careers at risk? Have I not heard of famous music personalities who, at the height of their fame, still left this world behind while in the pursuit of pleasure? This reflection only confirms one thing, that the irony of seeking rest in worldly pleasures is that we can never find rest. In fact, the opposite of rest happens. The more we seek pleasure from worldly things, the more it leaves us restless and unsatisfied. The German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche said, God is dead. And if Nietzsche is right, and God is really dead, then there is no hope for me. There is no hope for mankind. But I know that Nietzsche is wrong, and that God is alive. God lives. He lives deep within my heart. I know it because I have found a peace that this world cannot give. I am in this world, but not of the world. And that is in itself sufficient proof for me to know that God lives, that God is alive, that He is in my heart, and that is why I want to live and grow in fulfillment of what He wants to give me. I look back 22 years ago, and I remember talking to a work colleague and telling her that I felt peace in my heart, and that I had chosen to be detached from the things of this world. At that time, I did not have money. I had just started out in my career, and I was not earning too much. I told her that I did not need the latest and the best to be happy. I told her I did not need to look like the glamorous movie stars or perform like the sports personalities. I told her that it would not affect me if after working for the whole month, if on my way back from work, someone stole the envelope containing my month's salary in cash from me. She just could not believe what I was saying. A short while later, the next year, sad to say, one unfortunate day, I got news that her mother had tragically and unexpectedly passed away. So I and another work colleague went to the hospital to condole with her and her family. I noticed that there was some sort of confusion in the background at the hospital. And when I searched for what the cause of that confusion was, I realized that the family did not have enough money to arrange the funeral. And none of the relatives of that family that were around came forward to give a helping hand at that time. Without hesitation, I withdrew a month's salary from the bank and gave it to the family, who were then able to proceed with the funeral. Until today, all I have felt is peace, knowing that I was detached and gave up 1 month of salary for a good cause. Who else could have given me that peace, if not for a God who lives, who is alive? At the age of 17, I entered religious life, and my training institute was adjacent to a home for the aged. And every so often, I, with a couple of fellow students, would attend a funeral service when any of the residents of the home would pass away. Most of the time, the person who passed away did not have any of his own around him. And at that funeral service, we would sing the hymn, "Abide with me, fast falls the eventide. The darkness deepens, Lord, with me abide. When other helpers fail and comforts flee, help of the helpless, oh, abide with me." At that time, I just sang the hymn, but its significance did not touch me so much. But now as I reflect, it brings home the truth that the temporal things will pass, but the lasting peace only comes from the eternal. Only now do the words R.I.P. make sense to me, rest in peace. It tells me that when a person dies, the spirit of that person no longer has a body through which it can satisfy its restlessness, and thus the spirit can only find peace through unity with the eternal spirit. As I end, I summarize the things I have reflected on. That God is living, He lives, He is alive today, and that the words of St. Augustine, who said, "You have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our heart is restless until it finds its rest in you." And that deep within my heart I have found a peace,